Hello, I'm Eric Solomons, Head of Product Development for the Dubai Financial Market, and today I'm joined by Sharif Salim, CIO at Chimera Capital, and John Welling, Head of Global Equities, S&P DJI. We're here to talk about the trends and importance of diversification as a strategic tool. Sharif, John, thanks for joining me today. Sharif, welcome. And as a first question, maybe to start us off, can you give us an overview of how the investment landscape has changed over the past decade?
Yeah.
And then specifically in the Middle East.
Yeah. So the investment landscape has changed quite dramatically over the last decade, and specifically over the last 5 years. There's been a concerted effort from markets, regulators to boost the liquidity and boost the interest in the stock markets. So what we've seen over the last, specifically over the last 5 years, is there's been a lot of IPOs, specifically in more economy-related industries. So we've had companies in oil and gas. We've had in Saudi Arabia, Saudi Aramco. We've had quite a number of oil and gas ADNOC IPO, a number of companies in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai. We've had a number of companies that operate, that are a reflection of the economy in Dubai, come to market, and this in turn has increased liquidity, increased interest, brought in international investors, brought in the interest from international investors, and in turn has provided more diversification for the markets, has provided more liquidity and overall interest. The market cap over the past 5 years has grown from $1 trillion to $4 trillion. And the pipeline for IPOs remains quite healthy, as well as the stock market's trying to bring in as well family-owned companies to IPO. So the transformation and the development of the stock market has been going on and will continue to flourish over the next few years.
Thanks for those insights. We, as DFM, have seen and resonating with what you just said. We've seen more large cap market companies with liquid trading come available for inclusion, which is the basis, of course, for index building. And this is a direct consequence of the boom that we've seen over the past 18 months in our markets. So we've also seen a bigger participation of expats residing in the UAE in these IPOs for longer, because they're residing here for longer, and with more appetite to invest locally, directly, for example, blue chip listings, but also in ETFs. So this participation is growing. John, turning to you, could you shed some light for us on how, as we see these local market evolves, talk a little bit about the importance of diversification and how market participants have approached this diversification historically?
Yes, and thank you. Certainly, this is a great market for us here, and the way we look at diversification is comparable across markets, across regions, and across investor sets. Here in the region is similar to what we've seen in other places globally, where there's been a history of active management. However, we're seeing much more of a trend toward passive indexing solutions. And, that's is where we see opportunity for this market.
Turning back to you, Sharif, Chimera has focused on a number of its index-based strategies on different country exposures. Can you help us understand why you've taken this approach?
Yeah. So, given the nascent stage that the ETF industry is here in the region, in comparison, when you look at the region, ETFs that are listed regionally, as well as taking into account ETFs that cover the region that are listed in the US and the UK, it's a little over 1.5 billion when you compare it, $1.5 billion when you compare it to globally, which has surpassed $10 trillion. So it's still a very young market in terms of the ETF, in the ETF landscape. And so what we've done is we've come in with the most basic, plain vanilla equity index tracking passive ETFs in order to provide investors here in the region with access to global markets, to an asset class that they are more comfortable with. In doing that, that's why we've brought in, that's why we've IOP'd a number of ETFs that cover the region and cover the more important and more liquid markets in the region. And then we've gone out globally and provided investors here with access to some of the biggest markets in the world through their account here in whether it be in ADX or DFM. They have access to multiple countries and multiple exposures through investing with just in AE dirhams and through their local brokers.
Yeah, thank you. Back from geographical diversification to making these investment decisions, John, maybe for you to give us some insight how indices be used to inform investment decisions, including allocation decisions.
Yeah, thank you for that. Certainly, and first of all, indices are used as benchmarks to provide and measure investment performance against the market or specific markets. And they guide asset allocation by providing weightings to asset managers on a daily basis. So, we provide the data in a structured way according to a rule set. And, this helps, provide diversification to market participants in this way. They can also be used as part of research, looking into style analysis and how do you attribute performance and returns?
Very good, thank you. It certainly helped us revamp our index in October last year. So, turning back to you, if I may, diversification through local listed ETFs is a natural next step in the investor's investment journey. Could you give us some insight into what's driving this growth and other passive investment tools in the region?
Yeah, so what's driving growth here, albeit from a much lower base than globally, but what's driving growth in ETFs globally, and it's the diversification, flexibility in trading to investing in one investment product, and what we like to call is an investment tool. Because it provides an investment tool for multiple types of investors, whether they be retail or institutional. The cost effectiveness, the transparency, and the ease of trading in and out to take advantage of market performance is not something that you find in any type of other product.
Thanks for that. Moving back to John for a second, could you give your views on the areas of innovation that you see globally, and how that could eventually be relevant to us here in the Middle East?
Yeah, certainly. One of the biggest areas that we see of innovation continues actually to be just providing and creating additional opportunities for passive replication in the market. So although this is an innovation that's been around for quite some time, there's still significant opportunity, particularly here in this region as well. In addition to this, we see opportunity in such things as thematics, where you may look at particular sectors or combinations of sectors, as well as factors including value or growth, momentum, quality, or combinations of those as well. And lastly, ESG and sustainability. This is something that we feel is appropriate for the market and can be applied here. And where we do not have a particular solution, we can create customized benchmarks as well to fit the market.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sharif, John, for joining me here today, and for sharing your perspectives on global diversification. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.